after taking a little bit of a break from some modeling activities for various reasons, I'm ready to get to the final installment for finishing up this really awesome Macross What If US Navy fighter. The biggest part that we have to go right now is to arm this baby up with some current modern day US weapons, and because we can show off whatever we want here, we don't have to do a very realistic weapons load, because what is realistic about this thing? So I decided that going with what we've got here, and what we've got is a kind of what if, Tomcat sort of paint scheme, right? And a lot of people don't realize that Tomcats never really integrated the AIM-120 AMRAAM. The reason being is that they had their own active radar missile. They had the Phoenix made just for them. So Tomcats really in combat still rolled out with the Sparrow in addition to the Phoenix, if they needed that longer range missile. So you won't really find a lot of pictures of Tomcats with the AIM-120 AMRAAM. But, again, it's a what if, we do whatever we want. I don't use a lot of Sparrows in modeling because they're very specific to several subjects, but I just kind of like the shape of the Sparrow, and I think it would be cool to show a multitude of different armaments on this thing. So the armament loadout that I've decided we're going to give this guy here, we're going to go with some AIM-9Ms, some older Sidewinders, just because, again, I like with this airframe and everything, I like the look of the older Sidewinder there. I don't know what it is, and again, Tomcats, they never had the AIM-9X. Tomcats had the AIM-9M. That's the most fancy version of the Sidewinder that they ever carried. So, I mean, it sounds silly to say this, but it's historically accurate for the markings. We'll put those on the outboard, or we could even, I don't know, kind of looks cool to put that over there. I mean, we've got lots of different options to play with. We're going to give it a pair of Sparrows. I really like the way the Sparrows look. They're big and chunky, and so what I'm kind of wrestling with in my head is what launch rails do we put everything on? I do like how big these look down here on the intake pylons, but again, they're big and down the. But I love that they're so big and they extend so far down on the intake pylons. But at the same time, it would be cool to put the Sparrows under the wings, as well as the AMRAAMs under the wings. And these are, just saying, these are old AIM-120As. They could also be Bs now that I think about it, because they don't have the clipped fins. These also would look pretty cool under here. But we could put the radar missiles under the wings, and then put the smaller Sidewinders under there. I don't know. I'm just going to play with it. And, I'm so used to just the aesthetic of the lighter weight missiles being towards the wingtips, in real life. I think it kind of looks cool, but at the same time, it would be interesting to put the lighter weight missile sort of under the intake, the smallest missile. There's just lots of options. That's what I love doing what ifs. So you can do whatever you want. But anyway, just to give it a strike kind of capability, we've got the AGM-84E. So the AGM-84, the Harpoon is an anti-ship missile, but the AGM-84E is the SLAM, the standoff land attack missile, which is a longer range air-to-surface version, and common Navy missile. So we're going to throw a pair of those on these fuselage hardpoints, although we can get very Russian-like if we wanted to. They carry the AS-17, flankers do, under the intake, under the nacelle pylons. It would kind of look, but we're not going for a flanker thing, are we here? No, so we're going to put them under here. Anyway, so the first goal here, the first thing we need to do is we need to get these weapons painted. Now, unfortunately, here's the thing: I cannot explain what happened. I actually have 3 sets of these weapons in one box. I consolidated them. I cannot find any of the decals for them. So we're going to have to paint markings ourselves and then use spare decals to kind of mark them up and give them some nice looks. Unfortunately, they're not going to be 100% realistic to the markings that would be on the weapons, but then again, what is 100% realistic about this whole model? So I will paint them accurately, but we'll give them the properly colored bands. Maybe we'll make them training rounds. I don't know. But I'll go through the spares and get some data blocks and everything to put on there. So let's go ahead and get started. I've been babbling now for how long? Let's go ahead and get started with getting our missiles painted. And what is very convenient is that all of these missiles, their base color is going to be light ghost gray. Thank you, U.S. government, for making the initial painting of these really easy for me. Little bit of work getting these missiles done, but you know, even though they're not 100% accurate, I think they came out very nice, all things considered. With the scale we're working with and with all the other detail on this airplane, I don't think you're really, you'd have to really want to notice that we kind of use spares and everything to mark these things up. So I'm happy. I feel good about putting them on the plane, and now all I have to do is do a little bit of, a little wash on them, bring out some of the details of the panels and everything, and then we're going to give them a flat coat, and then we're going to get ready to start mounting them onto the aircraft itself. There's still a little bit of work to do on the airplane. We got to do just a little bit more detail work. The whole airplane itself needs a semi-gloss coat before we start mounting stuff on. So that's what we're going to get to next. We've got the panel lining to do here, and then you'll see me do just a little bit of extra detail work before we do the semi-gloss. Then we've got a little bit of detail work to do after we do the semi-gloss, some more exhaust staining and stuff like that. But I'd say we're at the 90% mark here. We're almost at the finish line of this project, and I can't wait to unmask this canopy and see how this all looks all put together. I'm really excited about this project. Alright, it is one of my favorite times of model building. We are going to reveal the cockpit. We're going to take this masking off the canopy. It's been on there for a while. What you saw me doing with the paper towel there, while we had that Winsor & Newton, that matte still a little bit wet, we did some weathering to kind of do a almost like, you know, when you would do chipping effects, but it gave us a nice worn look. So not only do we get a nice flat look on that anti-glare panel, but it gave us a little bit of a worn, weathered look on it as well. So kind of a 2-for-1 there. So very excited. You know what? I need a better toothpick, because that toothpick is just structurally not with it. So let's get this canopy unmasked. It has been it's been covered up for a while. Perfect, looks great. Love the way it came out. We got to do the rear section, and then we can move on to some of the last steps of weathering on this. We are armed up. So, you know, I spent some time trying to figure out exactly where I wanted to put the armament on this thing. I played with different configurations in my head. In the end, I always knew that our AGM 84Es were going to go under the fuselage. That was kind of never in doubt. Just the exact configuration of where our air-to-air missiles were going to go. How I ended up deciding they were going to go where they went, I don't know. I wanted the Sparrows to show, so it was either going to be on the outboards or under the engine nacelles. I thought actually it would kind of look cool to put the sidewinders under the engine nacelles, because you know you always see them on the outermost outboard hardpoints. So I just sort of switched it up a little bit. I thought it would look a little Macross that way, you know. So we've got the big, largest missiles, largest fins, all the way towards the ends of the wings, and we have our little heat seekers inboard, and I think that is just kind of a cool looking loadout for this guy to have. I don't know, but I definitely like the look of it all, the way it's placed, the way they all sit on the rails. I think if this was you know, in an actual cartoon, if we had this in an anime, I think that would look pretty sweet as he was flying around doing his thing. So I'm happy with that, and I think it also satisfies the look of the, you know, naval fighter. So got a little bit more to do just to do the final weathering, and then this project is all finished, ready to go to the customer, which is always a great time. So let me get out a little Tamiya weathering compact, which is what we're going to use for the final stage here, just to add a little bit more of exhaust, especially these kind of you know, what I'm assuming are what probably is kind of in space maneuvering thruster kind of things. We're going to put a little bit of exhaust staining around there, and this is a great tool to do that with. So we'll just get the brush up there, and you know, if this was kind of exo-atmospheric flying around, there really wouldn't be, you know, any one specific direction where this stuff would be going. So, you know, whatever direction it needs to kind of correct. So we're gonna sort of just give that illusion of thrust in sort of all directions, you know, but a little bit that way, a little bit that way, and we'll do that on all sides. We'll do the same thing where we weather up the actual nozzle there. And then I'm gonna, this is very roughly done, I'm gonna kind of matte this down a little bit when it's all done too, so that it's not just so pronounced on the surface there. And then just a little bit, don't want to forget we've got these little ones back here, so we'll give them just a little touch of color there. And again, a lot of this around the outer edge is going to get cleaned up, but I just want to make sure we get it there. We've got the ones by the nose. They're tiny, so just a little bit of illusion of just a little bit of staining there is all we have to do. They're not going to get a lot of use. It's mainly to counteract some inertia. And then what we're going to do is we've got these big cannons here, and so if they were to be firing, definitely have some staining going on around here. Now to smooth and kind of soften this all, just a regular Q-tip. What would also work really well for this is like a sponge, and I had some, like a little makeup sponge. We could also use another sponge, little applicator here if I had one, but I don't have one really available. You could also use your finger, and if we wanted to dip in a little moisture, we could do that too. I don't want to put any extra moisture on the surface right now until I'm ready for that, though, and I might do that just to get a little bit more done. Now, you can see how that's just sort of softening the effect, though, so it's not just like so heavy and deliberate looking. And that's what I'm looking for, is like an actual exhaust and not a deliberate somebody put something on there. And they should all look, each one of them should look different, basically. It shouldn't look like the exact same effect was done on each one of these little areas, because that would just be completely unnatural. I think I'm also going to put a little bit on the insides of here, because there would be definitely some engine residue on the insides of these cones. So that would streak to, now you're not going to see a lot of the streaking on the top there or on the insides, but I'm never going to kind of half-ass the job either. The little details are what really matter. A little bit more of the, we can use the pastel here to also kind of help with panels here and there, and add just a little bit more to the overall effect of this very worn aircraft. And I think we've got exactly what the buyer was looking for. I'm not entirely happy with this guy right here. Does not look natural enough for me. So I want to add a little bit more to this side. This just needs to, yeah, there we go. I'm much happier now. There we go. Okay, there we go, that's better. Okay, now I am happy. Now I'm much happier. So with that, I think we have a finished model. It's dismountable from the base as he wanted, so it can come off. He can move it around. He can look at it from all the angles. If you wanted to, he could just display it like that, or it can sit and he can kind of adjust the angle a little bit depending on how he wants to look at it. He's got that fully detailed cockpit in there, and my opinion, it looks pretty damn good. I'm really happy with the way this turned out. These bases are so easy to make, these wooden display bases. I've got a whole video on how to make them, so you can look for that. But another one in the books, and we've got he's got two more of these 172 scale Macross that we're going to be working on, all with U.S. Navy markings. Next one that we're going to be doing, the VF-31. We've got decals and everything picked out in here, so that should be pretty exciting. Same thing on a display base and everything. I don't know what kind of armament we're going to put on it yet, but we'll figure that all out as we go, because we've got to figure out how it all fits on the plane as we build it. But this one has been way too long. I owe him projects for free based on how long this took, just because, we started kind of pre-pandemic, and then all this stuff happened, and whatever. No excuses, took too long, flat out, but we're gonna make it up to him. So I'm really happy. Of course, stand by for the full high definition pictures of the entire thing when it's at the end of the video. So thanks for sticking with me through this project. I am confident that the customer here is going to be very happy. I hope you guys enjoyed watching the process. As always, I welcome all of your comments, critiques, criticism. Let me know how you guys would have done this differently or better, please. And for everybody out there building your own, keep building them, build them well, and join me again for another project on this bench real soon.